Hello, everyone. Today we will be talking about this absolute monstrosity of a clock radio made by General Electric, probably about 40 to 50 years ago, just judging by the design. I mean, look at it, with that fake wood grain on the sides. You know that this is old, and also because this thing is bulky. This LED display right here isn't that large, but the clock that's built around it, the clock radio that's built around it, is quite a bit larger than this. And the crazy thing is that this clock radio was probably built in the 70s or 80s, and I would easily compare this to Soviet electronica clocks that have been featured by YouTuber Diode Gone Wild in a couple of his videos. He restored them. This one does not need restoration, it works perfectly fine. But those clocks used a vacuum fluorescent display and didn't have a radio at all. But this one has a red LED display, and it is quite a bit nicer. And let's go ahead and plug this thing in to demonstrate how it works. So, as you first plug it in, the display is quite dim and it's red. I'm going to turn out the lights. That's better. So now let's go ahead and set it. Instead of having hours and minutes like most clocks, it has slow and fast do exactly what you'd expect them to do. Fast advances the time quickly, and slow advances the time slowly. I also need to mention that there is no setting which allows you to change the time. The clock is always in the setting where it allows you to change time, and you just gotta be careful not to press the slow or fast buttons when the clock is in operation. And also, I have to mention that unlike the minutes, where if you keep going up, it will eventually loop back around to 0 once it gets to 60, this one just continues advancing, so if you overshoot your time, then you have to go all the way back around for 12 hours. And there's no 24-hour time mode on this clock because, it's made for the North American market, which typically doesn't use 24 hours. And also, I could demonstrate the alarm, but I'm too lazy to do so. So the radio is controlled by the on and off switch and the tuning indicator right here. And let's go ahead and try it out. There you go. Probably copyrighted music. Yeah, there you go. The radio is working. That's the FM mode, and there's a little switch which allows you to change it to the AM mode. And let's try that again. It's quite a bit quieter. Let's turn up the volume. Yeah, there you go. There aren't many stations on AM these days, but enough faffing around. Let's go ahead and unplug this thing and take it to bits. One moment, please. Alright, all screws have been removed. Let's go ahead and lift up the cover. It's a bit tough to lift up, and in fact I might need to use a persuasion tool, which is just a screwdriver. Come on, there you go. And the speaker just falls out onto the ground because of course it does. So now let's take a look at some of the stuff we can see. Of course, there's the speaker. It is 16 ohms, which is quite a high resistance for a speaker. 0.75 watts, it seems, although it says that it can take 4 amps for some reason. That's scary. Then here is the little tuning indicator, which is just a piece of plastic with some metallizations added on it. And then an LED display with a red filter on top of it, so that it has a higher contrast. And of course, I slightly damaged the red filter. It's just a red piece of paper that's been red piece of transparent paper that's been overlaid on top of it. And then the buttons, these buttons have actually been molded into the exact same piece of plastic that the rest of this clock bracket is being held in with. And the funny thing is that this little square of plastic right here is the exact same piece of plastic that all the rest of these clock brackets and stuff are. And yeah, that's nice. And of course, there's a circuit board over here with a chip on it. It is a Texas Instruments TMS3459BNE, which you probably couldn't see at all. And of course, there are plenty of capacitors around it, some of which might be rotten and high ESR, and plenty of air coils that I probably shouldn't be touching because their inductance can be easily changed just by manipulating them a little bit. And then, of course, there are some ancient dust bunnies in here. Now, let's go ahead and remove these knobs to go ahead and access the rest of it. Come on, maybe I need the screwdriver again. There you go. Now I should be able to push in this piece of plastic, and it should fall apart. Or not. Sometimes this thing is annoying to take apart. Alright, finally I have the clock bracket free, and now I can remove it. And the power cable is just wired through this little hole where that little plastic square used to be. Let's go ahead and remove this cover. And now here is the clock module separated from the case, and we can turn it around to view the electronics. So it appears to be divided into two boards, a radio board and a clock board. I do not see any sort of crystal on the clock board, so it probably uses the mains frequency for synchronization, 60 Hz, in the United States of America and Canada, and Mexico too. And there is a potentiometer over here for controlling the volume, and the actual variable capacitor that controls the tuning isn't this little knob over here, but actually this little plastic box down here, and it is turned by this plastic wheel. And as I turn the knob, the plastic wheel turns. And the string is just looped around it in such a way that it moves both the tuning indicator and the variable capacitor when the knob is turned. Here is the AM/FM switch, the antenna for picking up AM. I have no idea where the FM antenna is. It could very well be printed on the board. It could be one of these wires. This wire right here, you might think this is the AM antenna, but it's not. It's the cable for the speaker. And this top board over here, of course, it's got a bunch of buttons and some weird yellow electrolytic capacitors. And we also have this little tiny mains transformer, which has multiple secondary windings. It looks like it has 2 secondary windings, and one of them is center tapped. And it's held together by some metal straps. And it's quite small for a mains transformer, don't you think? Surprised they didn't just solder it directly onto a circuit board. This one, for example. It seems like they have used some ribbon cables to go ahead and hook up the clock board to the LCD display. And what else do we have? I mean, not much really. These switches that for which control the alarms are multiple position switches. There are plenty of just random components strewn across in here. And, well, of course, yeah, there's plenty of stuff in here, although there is a weirdly blank space on the radio board. And, yeah, I can pretty easily tell this is a radio board, of course, because it has the AM antenna on it, but also because it has some of these little transformer things on it. You can't really tell, but these little metal cans over here, they have a little screw in them, and I guess they adjust some sort of parameters or something. I have no idea what these things do. I think they are variable frequency transformers. Someone told me when I was reviewing my when I was investigating what was inside my old radio. And also, you might be wondering what this little compartment is. It is for a backup 9-volt battery, but I don't really use the backup battery because it's just kind of annoying, and sometimes it doesn't even work. And I decided that the 9-volt battery connector would be more useful than the backup battery feature of this clock, so it's gone, including the wires that led to it. These little wire stubs here are the only remnants of the backup battery. And anyway, that's about it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I'll see you next time.